Hello, I'm so glad you're here. While I'm letting people in from the waiting room, why don't you write in the chat your name, where do you teach, what do you teach, where in the world are you, and what you hope to gain from this challenge. And we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. So today is all about dreaming big. Tomorrow, we'll learn about paying yourself first, and then on Friday, maximizing your income. It is a lot in 3 days, but you will have up to a week after Friday to continue doing the work, interact in the Facebook group, and get some feedback as well. Okay, so we are going to be moving at a fast pace, but don't worry. You can keep working for the next week, maybe even if you have next week off still. You can get through all 3 parts of the challenge. So today is all about dreaming big. Our essential question is, what are 3 ways your life might look moving forward 5 years? And we're going to creatively plan our life, basically. I don't know if you've heard of Ikigai, but I'm like obsessed with Ikigai. So Ikigai is a construct encompassing meaning, motivation, and your values of life. So basically, if you can find your Ikigai, you're finding your passion, you're putting it together with your mission, your profession, and your vocation. So for many, many years, teaching and being an instructional coach was my Ikigai, but now my Ikigai has evolved and changed. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But today's key takeaways and learnings are going to be this. You're going to have 3 5-year plans when you walk away from today's workshop, at least started. You're going to think like a designer. Okay, so we're going to get unstuck in our thinking. And we're going to practice brainstorming. We're going to practice really being open to ideating, ultimately, through design thinking. So we're going to practice valuing lots of ideas. You're going to learn how to build prototypes. That's more tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be prototyping some of the designs we make today. And then we will also be talking about failing forward, which in a nutshell is basically reframing your mistakes or reframing something you didn't know at the time and moving forward, learning from the opportunity instead of feeling bad about the failure. So I really want you to try to be really mindful, pay attention to your own thinking as you go through this workshop. Okay, Sean Covey, or Covey, I think it's Sean Covey, and Wiggins and McTighe both clearly say, to achieve mastery, we must know where we're going. We must begin with the end in mind. So we're all educators here, or most of us probably are, and I don't know if you have this practice in your practices, but this is the way I do it. I've always planned with the end in mind. And we're going to do the exact same thing today with our finances and our life and our dreams, okay? Because if we don't know where we're going, if we can't even dream up what we want it to look like, how in the world are we going to get there? Right? So that's the big takeaway from today, is those dreams and those thinking and changing our mindset to a possibility of abundance and meeting those goals and financial goals and really life steps that we want to happen in the next 5 years. So the best way to predict the future is to invent it. We're going to invent 3 ways today that our future might look. So let me start by telling you a little bit about myself. Hi, I am Sybil Hall. As I said here, this is the why behind becoming financially literate. So I'm a mom. I have 2 teenagers. My daughter is a senior this year, Karina, she's 17, and my son, Bryson, is a sophomore this year. He's 15. And this is my husband, Brian. He is a high school science teacher. He's been a middle school and high school science teacher his whole career. And we are currently living back in the USA. We live in Denver, Colorado. I have been a teacher and instructional coach for 23 years in 5 different countries. So I started my career here in Denver in Douglas County schools. And then we went to Rome, Italy, well before we had kids. And we taught the American Overseas School of Rome. I was a kindergarten and first grade teacher, all early childhood at the beginning of my career. Then we came back to the US for 8 years, had the kids, raised them near grandparents before heading back out to Shanghai, China. There, I was a kindergarten teacher that first year, and in my second year, I moved into an instructional coaching position. It was a dream job. I was a early childhood literacy and technology coach. So cool. So we were there for 5 years, amazing, amazing years in Shanghai, China. Before moving to Dubai, we were at the American School of Dubai for 2 years, and then moved to the International School of Brussels in Belgium for 3 years. During that time, I transitioned when we were in Shanghai to instructional coaching, and I continued that as an innovation and technology coach in Dubai for elementary school, pre-K through fifth grade. And then in Brussels, I went on a new adventure and really took some risks. And it was a part-time coaching position, but they also believed that you should be teaching. So I was a sixth grade math teacher with all of my career in early childhood. I did so much learning. It was unbelievable. I definitely had to be open-minded, definitely use design thinking to figure out how to make that work. Because when you're learning something so big and so new, and you're trying to be a good mom and live a good life and travel Belgium, Europe, it was quite a lot. So my open thinking really evolved, and my design thinking application outside of the classroom really evolved during this time when I was in Belgium. And now I am an author and entrepreneur. So I've written this book, Burn Bright, Not Out, 35 Lessons That Cultivate Teacher Wellbeing. Just came out in September. It's available on Amazon. It's under $10. I also have the ebook because I want every teacher to be well, not only financially well, like we're talking about in this challenge, but also personally, their well-being is so important. I am born to love and advocate for teachers and educators. So I'm so glad that you are here on this journey with me. I'm really having a lot of fun building some different programming for teachers and educators. So along with my book, I have the same philosophy that I want it to be accessible to all. I want it to be inclusive to all. I've built a Money Ninja Club, and it's only $7 a month, and you can cancel at any time. It includes things like this challenge will be put in the club after the 7 days that it's free and open to you. But it also includes monthly content drop, a community, live question and answer, and coaching sessions. So my goal is really just to impact and help as many teachers and educators and leaders feel well and live a fulfilling life. And so I'm not going to sell you anything at the end of this challenge or today's workshop. This is what I have. You can go to sibylhall.com, check out my programming. If you like what you see on this challenge, you're going to love the programming I have there. And your feedback, like what you need, is so, so helpful to an entrepreneur like me. Basically, so anything you can give me, if you do join the club, what's working well for you, what did you love in the design challenge that's not in the club, etc. Okay, so we're going to start with my 5-year dream in pictures. So I have chosen, let's see if I can move my picture here, 6 pictures that kind of represent, I actually did this a few months back, that represent my kind of next 5-year dream, like where I think I'm going, where I am kind of now, and where I want to get to, okay? So let me start down here with this beautiful moose in front of this condo building. So this is our investment property up in Frisco, Colorado. And we bought this property about 9 years ago. And it was the best decision we ever made. Really didn't think it would be ever possible to own something in Summit County. But when we got to Shanghai, we were surrounded by people that were doing just that. They had invested in property in the United States and then were renting it out, short-term rentals for the most part, but also people do long-term rentals. And all of a sudden my mind was like, I could do that. I could actually make passive income by owning a property and renting it out, even though I'm halfway across the world. Well, with Airbnb, you can, right? And so this has been a really successful endeavor. And now that we're back in the States, we get to spend a lot more time there now too. So this is the kind of investment and kind of a part of my dream that I'm so proud of and really want to model other parts of my dream on, because it has really done a nice job of allowing us to use that, sorry, I'm letting some people in here from the waiting room. So it has done a really nice job of letting us use the, let me see. Okay. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. It has allowed us to have experiences there, share experiences with family and friends, as well as also make money off of it, right? Rent it to others and let them have those experiences. And so this is really a model that has been very successful. It takes very little work. Yes, there is some work. There's no such thing as completely passive income, in my opinion. I have to, kind of maintain my Airbnb site. I have to upload it to my property managers, things like that, but it's relatively passive. And so we're kind of thinking in the next few years that we would like to buy a second investment property. That's what these keys up here represent. And we're not sure yet, and we'll talk about this a little later in the workshop today, if we're going to buy that here and live in it for a few years and then rent it out, long-term rental maybe, or I have some other ideas. But I think in the next 5 years, we're going to be buying a second piece of real estate as a investment property. And then you see this big retirement here. So my dream is to partially retire in 2 different countries. And I hope to retire my husband from teaching and for us to be able to do that in the next 5 years. So my son has 2.5 more years of school. And then after that, we kind of plan on living in 2 places in the world. So while teaching and working with people online, I also work with teachers as an educational consultant. I travel to the Dominican Republic, places in the US like Florida. So I plan to continue doing that too. So retirements really can look different these days, right? Especially when we dream big and we imagine things maybe differently than most people do them. Also, this heart hands with the world over here is just because, as you saw, I've lived in 5 different countries already and I'm a world traveler. So it's really important to me that I continue traveling in retirement and continue doing that. And down here is really my representation. This was in Belgium a few years back. We were planting trees. And so the environment and nature is really important to me. I talk about it a lot in my book. It really has changed me connecting with nature. And so I donate to One Tree Planted. And they plant trees. It's just $1 a tree and they plant trees all over the world. But when I get the opportunity, we like to go out and volunteer and plant trees too. So definitely an important part of my 5-year plan as well is to really stay connected with Mother Earth and give back to the earth and nature. Down here is an empty classroom, and it's kind of a sad classroom. And that picture kind of represents my bigger dream. This might be a little bit beyond 5 years. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I'm starting to see it, of finding some schools somewhere in a developing country that has needs as far as resources and education for their teachers. So I would love, love, love to find a school and kind of adopt that school and travel there and, work with the teachers on their pedagogy and practices and resource them with materials donated materials and such. So that is a big dream of mine that I am trying to create and build wealth so I can give even more. So a lot of what we're going to talk about over the next 3 days is like changing our mindset. So I really used to think that I just was here to serve. Teachers don't deserve wealth. And I've had to work hard on changing that mindset because you and I deserve wealth just as much as anybody else. And we can create it and we can help more people and the environment once we create it too. So I really have a two-part goal of like securing a really healthy, fulfilling, happy life for my family, maybe some generational wealth for my kids to pass down, and to really up my giving back game. Just on Christmas a couple days ago, my family and I went down to downtown Denver and we gave away sweatshirts, pants. They had suitcases there, clothing to people who are unhoused. And that's the kind of work I want to do more of. And I want to contribute a larger portion of my my money to that. So I really want you to be thinking like building wealth isn't selfish. It can actually be quite the opposite. Your dreams can have impact and service continue to be a big part of them because most teachers, I think all teachers, we got into it to help and help others, right? Help the future be a better place. And so this is a way that I really push myself to build wealth so I can give even more. Okay. And down here at the bottom, you're going to see my book. That's a constant, right? It's really a self-help book. It gives you 35 ways to take care of yourself, get to know yourself. And that's something I had to continue to work on, that balance. I'm a really driven, hardworking educator like you are, I'm sure. And that balance is all the time has to be paid attention to. And that's something I wrote a book about, and I still have to work really, really hard at it. I'm also building my signature mini membership, or not mini membership, my main membership. It's called the Wealth and Wellbeing Collective. So I'm really excited to launch that in the new year, help more teachers really put all of these pieces together to build a happy, healthy, wealthy life. And then this represents the stock market because that's also a big piece in my investment strategy. And I want to just keep becoming more and more financially literate, making sure I'm making choices, for example, that are, valuable and productive for where I am in my life right now. For example, moving back to the US and the kids going off to college next year. Oh my God, my daughter. Now I'm learning all about the FAFSA and like what money shows up and is used against you when you're thinking about aid and what does not. So I'm constantly, this is a big part of my dream because I have to maintain it with just, not a lot of time, but I do spend 30 to 60 minutes every single week thinking about money or one piece of this plan every single week, because that's how I can move it forward as I go. Okay. So what images might you include if you were to do 6 images in a 5-year dream? Think for a moment, what might you include in yours? I don't know if any of you use Canva or not, but Canva, I've included this template here for you, and I'll show you where to get that on the Padlet and put that in the chat in just a moment. But Canva is an amazing tool and it's free. The pro version's free for educators around the world. Okay, so I have that information on the Padlet as well, but this is a little bonus for you if you would like to use this template and put in your 6 images as we work through the workshop or later, you can, okay? So I'm gonna put in the chat, there is the Padlet link. It was also in your email. I just sent out another email at 10 o'clock, which has that link as well. But the Padlet looks like this, and this is your really one-stop shop for this challenge. This is a gift to you. This stays with you forever. The challenge ends. You have access to this Padlet. I'm going to be adding to it as we go across the 3 days. But if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, join and introduce yourself. I would love to meet you. That pop-up Facebook group will be open for another week after Friday. And then here's that information about Canva Pro for educators. So if you can click there and just read, what you have to do to apply. But basically you need your school email address. And then I'm going to add the slide decks each day. So you can get that slide deck here. And I'm going to encourage you to share your breakthroughs. But anyway, there's lots here. Okay, kind of getting off track. Okay, let's keep going. So let's start with some housekeeping. We have 3 live workshops. You're in one of them right now. They are going to be in the Facebook group. Unfortunately, Facebook wasn't working with me this morning and I couldn't share it live. No matter what I did, that group wouldn't show up. So I will put it in there as soon as I'm off this call. I will also be emailing you the live workshops so you can get them right in your inbox. It's that important to me that you get this information and you give this a try, okay? Because this will change your life if you give it a try. The Padlet I just showed you, there's the Facebook community, lots of bonuses are going to be all on the Padlet. And I'm going to be giving away a $25 Amazon gift card for those who participate. I want you to share your aha moments. I want you to maybe share your dreams that you come up with. We know as teachers, the more you participate, the more you learn and the more successful you are. Okay, so there's our calls are going to be at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time each day. There's our Padlet. There's some of our bonuses. I've included this bonus, which usually only comes with my book, but I've included it for you today for these 3 days for the You Challenge participants. These are a card deck of 64 daily prompts just from the book. They go exactly along with the book, but they can be used completely separated from the book. And they're just little cards that each day you can look at one and decide on what you want to do for that day. Like I said, active participation really equals learning and success. We know this as teachers, but a lot of times as adults, we don't show up in the same way we expect our students to. I know you guys go to staff meetings like I did for many years, and it's a different game, right? When you're the learner, but it is true just like it is for them. The more you participate, the more you're active, the more you ask questions, the more success you will have. So be active. When you tell your story to the world, you get reinforcement for the story you've created. Okay. It is completely true. When we communicate and collaborate and put those things out there, we are more likely to get there. Okay. So like I said, at the end of Friday, I'm going to give away a $25 Amazon gift card. You can comment in the Facebook group. You can post in the Facebook group. You can comment on the Padlet. You can comment in the Zoom workshops, on the Zoom calls here. You can fill out the end of workshop survey that will be coming to you after this call in the email. Every post you put somewhere. So if you post in the chat, you get an entry. If you post on Facebook, you get an entry. If you post on the Padlet, you get an entry. Survey and entry. Okay. And we'll draw the winner on Friday for that. Okay. So let's talk about design thinking. I'm not sure if you are familiar with design thinking or not, if it just caught your attention, or maybe you're an expert. But let's talk about what design thinking is. Design thinking basically has 5 stages. Okay. The first stage is empathizing. Then we define. Next, we ideate. Then we prototype. And then we test. Okay, today we're going to be empathizing with ourselves. We are the user in this case. Okay, we're going to be empathizing. We're not going to really do the definition stage. Here's why. I'm already defining the problem for you. The problem is, what might our lives look like as we move forward 5 years? Okay, that's our definition. That's what we're defining the problem as today. But we are going to empathize and we are going to ideate. We're going to be ideating 3 ways our future might look before the end of today's call. Okay, tomorrow we'll start our call with prototyping and testing, talking about our dream, and then moving into the money aspects. Okay, we're going to want to really think like a designer. Okay, these mindsets are absolutely crucial in your success. So reframing things, like I talked about a little bit already, failing forward, reframing that as a learning opportunity. Radical collaboration. Now, this is a little harder with this virtual thing. So if people are contributing in the Facebook group, it's really going to help us collaborate and move each other forward. If I hadn't heard that gal in Shanghai say, yeah, I own a property in the US and rent it out short term, I might have never gone down that route. So collaboration is a really important piece of this, and why I've built the club and the community, because we're better together, right? We're going to be super curious. We're going to be mindful of the process. Okay, we're really going to be process oriented here. Focus on the process, just let the ideas come out. We're not going to judge them. We're just going to be thinking about what's the process asking me to do right now. And then we're going to be biased towards action. We're going to start needing to do something. Okay, we're going to make our plans and we're going to start moving forward. Otherwise, a plan is a plan that's never achieved, right? So most of today's design thinking work is going to be based off of the Stanford Life Design Lab. So this is a course that students at Stanford can actually take, and they get to design their life by creating Odyssey plans. So we're going to create Odyssey plans today to design our future life, our next 5 years. And we're really going to focus on developing habits of mind. So we want to pay attention to our observations, our analyzing, what we're analyzing, those observations, excuse me. And we want to be questioners, curious. Remember, that's one of the main mindsets. Okay. So we're going to make our thinking intentional and visible. I am going to ask you to write your thinking down. Okay, making it visible, and then taking the next step of making it visible in the group would be even more powerful. But I have a story in my book about making your thinking public, because when we make our goals public, we're more likely to meet them. We've said them to somebody. Dude, I better hold myself accountable. I just told that person I was actually going to do that, right? So I encourage you to either print your workbook pages or just use a notebook, right? If you have a dedicated notebook to this course and to money matters, that's a really good idea. Sticky notes, if you like to use sticky notes, I'm a sticky note queen. I'm not in my office right now where you would see tons of sticky notes behind me, but they're really nice and flexible to move around. The other one I should have put on there is just blank paper. I think I'm going to do some of my planning on blank paper, although my journal might work too. But if you also just like to work on blank paper, sometimes if you can get that bigger size paper from school or whatever, that's really nice to work on too. So, but we do know that the brain remembers it better and learns it better and just functions better when we write things down, even not digital. So you notice those aren't digital, and we're going to be doing everything paper, pencil. If you really want to do it digital, do it. But I promise you, pencil and felt tip markers give your brain amazing feedback. Okay, so we are going to create what's called an Odyssey plan. And we're going to answer this. What are 3 ways your life might look moving forward 5 years? Okay, remember, we're doing this because if we don't know where we're going, we're not going to get there. Just like with our students, we start with our standards, our unit design. We know where they need to go. We need to know where we want to go so we can create a financial plan to get us there. Okay. Today is really not going to be about numbers. It's really not going to be about money at all. Today is dreaming big, making 3 plans of what our future could look like in 5 years. Then tomorrow we start crunching the numbers and thinking about, okay, this is where I want to go. I've got motivation. I've got excitement. My brain can actually see it as a possibility. I know where I'm going. Tomorrow we'll start adding in, how do we get there? Where are we now? How do we get there? Okay. So planning is everything, but the plan is nothing, said Dwight D. Eisenhower. Okay. So this is called an Odyssey plan, but we need to keep this in mind because no matter what you plan, you need to be ready for anything. Life stuff happens, right? A plan, though, is your entry point to your dreams, right? If we don't have a plan, we don't have that entry point. We can't see it. Okay. And preparing for all possibilities sets you up for the next stage. So we're going to do 3 today because we need to be set up for that next stage. We want to have multiple possibilities of how it might go. Might is a powerful word. So we're going to be ideating through the design thinking process versus really what we traditionally think of as planning. Okay. We're going to be creating rich and fulfilling life plans today. We're going to aim high so we can hit high, right? Just like with our students, we have to have high expectations so that they can get there. If we don't have big, audacious dreams, we're not going to get to big, audacious places, right? We want to really concentrate in our ideation of how we want to feel. Okay. And we want to visualize how life will be at that transition point to the next stage. So it might be a slow, gradual thing, but there also might be a complete transition point. For example, me leaving the school to become an author and entrepreneur, that was a big transition point. So in my dreaming and in my ideations, I had to really think, how do I want that moment, that transition to feel? What's that going to look like? Can I visualize that before I even get there so I can make it happen how I want it to happen? Not life happens to me. I make life happen the way I want it to happen. Okay, so ideation versus planning. And then, like I said, today we're going to dream up where we want to go, and tomorrow we're going to work with the numbers and really dig into the 50-30-20 budgeting. And I have a twist on that because tomorrow is all about paying yourself first. Okay. So, everyone doing okay? I know I just like talked, but I know you want to get into it. So let's start with empathizing with ourselves. Okay. So in the design thinking process, you always start with empathizing. Usually it's your end user. Well, guess what? We are our end user. We are the ones we're designing our lives for. Okay, so we're going to start by empathizing with ourselves. So let's first look at what the Stanford Life Design School says about our 6 stages of life. Okay, so of course we have childhood first, and then adolescence, and then this one might be new to you. The 3rd stage is the Odyssey years. The Odyssey years is the decade of wandering that frequently occurs between adolescence and adulthood. So you might say these are the years like when you're graduating from college or when you're leaving the house after high school, up through, maybe 20 years old to 30 or 18 to 35. And these are the years of a lot of change. You might get married, you might get your first apartment on your own. These are the years that you're really transitioning from adolescence into adulthood. Okay. These are the years that Stanford designed this life design for, but we're really going to be applying it, most of us, I'm not sure of everyone's age here, but to our adulthood, our encore career, and even our retirement, because we can do so many creative things these days with that. So next is adulthood, where you're really just settled in. And then a lot of people are having what we call an encore career. So this is a 2nd career or maybe 3rd career, and it's really a meaning-making career. People are living longer is one reason. But also there's just so much opportunity now to do something that is more fulfilling and more of a meaning making career for you. And then you might get hit traditional retirement. I'm kind of looking at the encore career, which I'm in right now, and my partial retirement as hand in hand, because if you remember the Ikigai slide at the beginning, retirement, the people who live the longest keep their mind and body active and engaged in their passions. And so I don't know that I ever need to like stop doing things entirely in retirement. So I really like looking at combining this whole idea of encore career and retirement. So the Oprah says the biggest adventure you can ever take is to live the life of your dreams. Happy, fulfilled life. That's what we're building here. Okay. So we're going to start by empathizing with ourselves. Okay. And we're going to start with the first few pages of the workbook. Okay. So we're going to look within ourselves to kind of get a baseline, see where we are right now before we start that big dream. Why would we want to do that? Why does design thinking start with empathizing? Well, it puts you in the shoes of where you are right now. And if you don't stop and reflect, you probably don't have a great grasp on where you are right now. Okay. So in this guide, you'll see that there's all areas of your life. Okay, the first page is all about your teaching. So how are you feeling right now about teaching? We're just going to flow our ideas. I don't want you to judge them. I don't want you to make it look perfect. I want you to just throw down whatever first comes to your mind. Okay. What about recreation, your leisure, your fun? How's that going right now? What about family and friends? Your spirituality, your personal development, your well-being overall, your love life, your money and finances. Okay, so we're going to spend about 10 minutes doing this. You can do it on the printed sheets, you can work in your journal, you can work on blank paper, wherever you'd like. And basically, after you've had maybe the first 8 or so minutes of filling out some of those pages, getting started at least, look through. What do you notice? What do you wonder? Take a mental screenshot of how your life is going right now. Okay. So we're going to, like I said, do this for about 10 minutes. Does not have to be, every page does not have to be filled out fully. Just get some good reflection of where you are right now across a variety of avenues, because our dreams are going to include our profession and our personal life. Okay. So I don't know if any of you know about Brain FM, but I absolutely love it. It's AI functional music. There is a link on the Padlet to get a free month of trial if you use that link to try it out. I highly recommend it. I use it every single day to focus, to relax, and at night to sleep. It's just incredible. But I was just going to put on some focus music for the next 10 minutes while you worked on empathizing with yourself and kind of reflecting on where are you now. Okay. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. And otherwise, we'll just get this started. And in about 10 minutes, we'll come back together and maybe have a little debrief or just keep going. Okay. I don't want to put anybody on the spot. Sorry, that wasn't quite the right fit for me, although it seems like we're on classical for some reason. I changed that. Feel free to mute it if you don't want the the music as well. Sorry, it's just not my usual style. So in about 1 more minute, we'll come back together and keep going. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pause that. By the way, didn't know what I was doing navigating online because I'm usually using my app. I've got my favorites and everything. But that's Brain FM. It's absolutely amazing. You can change the neuro effect, all kinds of music, AI powered, and focus, relaxation, and sleep. It's just a game changer. So hopefully you had a little time to empathize with yourself. Let me move my picture here. Thinking about where are you now? Okay. The last page of that asks you to think about what you notice and wonder. If you want to share that in the chat or in the Facebook group, I would love to hear what you noticed and wondered about your reflections. Remember, I told you in the beginning, we're paying attention to the process. So we're being metacognitive about our thinking. So what did you just write down? What did you notice? Were you feeling exceptionally positive, or were you feeling kind of down about things right now? It's okay either way. Notice it and wonder, what does that mean? How can I turn that around? Or how can I keep this outlook but even dream bigger? Okay. So now we're going to ideate our dream. Like I said, our definition, our defining is really our problem is what do we want our life to look like in the next 5 years, right? So let's do some ideation. Okay, so if we're going to ideate 3 ways our life could look as we move forward the next 5 years. In an Odyssey plan, we want to have 3 5-year timelines. Each one needs to include some graphical elements. The more sketching, drawing, symbols, pictures you can have, the better. We're going to think about both our personal life and our professional life. Okay, it's super important that both aspects are in your Odyssey plan. Okay, so if you really want a puppy, put that in there. If you want to travel to Paris or somewhere else, put that in there. If you're hoping to get married in the next 5 years, put all of that personal stuff in there, as well as your professional life. Do you want to keep teaching what you're teaching right now? Do you want to change grade levels? Do you want to become a team lead? Do you want to move into instructional coaching position? Do you want to become admin? What's your dream, right? So you're going to aspect, do you want to leave the classroom and become an author and entrepreneur like I've been doing? What do you want to do in the next 5 years, both personally and professionally? Okay, each timeline will have these pieces. You will basically have your bucket list, your milestones for both your professional and personal life. What's on that bucket list? Actually, thinking about it instead of milestones as a bucket list might be a really helpful way to do it. If you could do everything you want to do in the next 5 years, your bucket list, put it down, personal and professional. You're going to need to come up with a 6-word title. I'm going to talk more about these elements in a minute. And 2 to 3 questions for each timeline. And then you're going to choose a symbol as well. So let's break it down. Okay. We are going to just make 3 timelines. We're not going to judge. We're not going to edit, revise. We're just going to brainstorm. Remember, design thinking and ideation is about brainstorming, putting as much down as we can. Okay. So first, you're just going to start by imagining how your life might go. Then when you're ready for the second one, you could say, what if that plan disappeared? What should plan 2 be? And your third plan, what if money or images money or your image, an image of, buying. We often buy things so we can look good, right? We have the newest iPhone, for example. What if that wasn't an object or wasn't important? Then you can draw plan 3. That doesn't mean plan 1 can't have money's not important. I think you should go big. I think you should go wide, open, be creative, just throw it down there. But this is kind of a framework that might help you move from plan 1 to plan 2 to plan 3. Okay. The 6-word title is intentional. And that is because it forces you to distill the essence of the plan to something very specific. So I encourage you to make your plan first and then give it a title. Do you do that with your students, or do they try to come up with a title first? I don't know. My book, I definitely wrote my book and then I came up with a title, right? We're going to make our plans and then we're going to come up with a title and see if you can make a title that's just 6 words. Okay, because that's going to make you think, like, what's this plan really all about? What's the essence of this plan? And that will define it from the next plan and the next plan. Okay. You're also going to come up with 2 to 3 questions for each plan. Okay. So questions that are important to you. Like, what's this plan all about? What am I growing and learning? How am I changing? Let me give you an example. I mentioned earlier that on my 6 images of my dream, I want to invest in a property at some point in the next 5 years. Now, on one plan, it could be right here in this neighborhood we're in, because we're renting right now, and we live in it for 2 years, and then it becomes an investment property after my son graduates from high school, and we don't need that big of a house. Okay. So questions I would ask myself, or I am asking myself about this plan, is, how in the world can I afford anything right now because the interest rates are so high, right? Then I learned about creative financing. And so now I'm asking all kinds of questions of, could I find a home in this little neighborhood and do creative financing? So I'm reading a book on creative financing. Okay. So my question for that part of the plan was, how can I learn about creative financing so maybe I could afford a home in the spring? Another plan, second plan, I have buying a property up near Breckenridge in the mountains, and slowly every couple of years putting a tiny house on it until we have 3 tiny houses. So we could rent them separately, we could rent them out together. And as my kids get older and have their own families, we could all have our own little tiny house in the woods, in the mountains. Isn't that a fun plan? So that would lend itself to different questions. Right? What size property do I need that would allow me to put 3 tiny houses on it eventually? Um, are there property managers that would come out to the woods a little bit more, like away from where the city is, and that kind of thing? So the questions are all about how you're going to get to that plan, because you might be putting this together. Remember, we talked about, we don't know where we're going, we're not going to get there. Well, we're going to say where we want to go. Then we're going to ask questions. Then we're going to start learning about the finances and different ways that we can actually make that our reality. Okay. We're also going to choose a symbol. Okay. So this is an important graphical element. If you're like a sketch noter, you might not need one symbol for your whole plan. You might have it might be very visual, which is really cool. But if not, I want you to try to choose a symbol when the plan's done, the title, the questions, the symbol. Okay. It might be like a logo. It might be a superhero symbol. It might be just a representation of this period of your life, right? Remember the 6 stages? We go through different phases of our life. Okay. It can be inspirational, or it can capture the key goal or meaning of the plan. So if there's, like, for me with that plan with the little tiny homes in Breckenridge, that might be a big piece that I would make into my little symbol, right? And that would kind of really define it to the plan where I buy property here where I'm living in Denver, and that maybe wouldn't be my symbol because that might not be the biggest thing on that plan. Okay. So we're going to ideate 3 timelines with these pieces: our bucket list, our milestones, 6-word title, 2 to 3 questions, and a symbol. Okay. It's really important that you do at least 2. And if you could push yourself to do 3, you're gonna be really happy with yourself. Okay. I've also included a simplified version of the Odyssey plan in your workbook. Okay. So the one I just showed you here, this is really from Stanford's life design course. This is the design thinking way of going about it. Okay. This is a simplified version because we're all different. And this is still going to let you be creative. This is still going to let you be open, but it might be more time efficient. It might fit your style better. Okay, so basically in here, you're going to answer 3 questions. So the first one is, what does my life look like 5 years from now if I continue down this same path? Okay, you're again going to include professional and personal life. Whoops, sorry about that. I had to push the arrow here. Your second one is, what would my life look like in 5 years from now if I took a completely different path? Okay, so it's a little more structured. Same path, different path. Third, what would my life look like in 5 years from now if I take a completely different path without worrying about money or people's opinions? That's that image thing. Okay. You can do it either way you would like. You can do your Odyssey plan, the design thinking way, and ideate 3 timelines, or you could use the workbook and answer those 3 questions. Okay. I personally am going to, I wish I'd grabbed some bigger paper actually. I'm going to do the Odyssey plan this way. And what I'm thinking is that I will just fold this into thirds. And that way I can kind of work on one paper, but if I work here and not looking at the other ones, and then on my first plan, and then here I do plan 2, and then here I do plan 3, then I'll have them all there on one paper. Okay. I'm going to have my bucket list, my 2 to 3 questions, then my title, and then my symbol. Okay. So my plan was to give you some time to do that now on the call, but I see that it's already 11. And I don't know what people have to get to or not, but like I said in the beginning, this is like super fast paced in this challenge. Okay. But you have a full another week from Friday to interact with me, to ask questions, to post in the group, to do this a little bit slower, but we are just going to, move through it each day. So, I really want you to take some time to do this. And I know that you will take some time to do this if you get started at least now. So I think that's what we'll do. I think I'll put on Brain FM again, either in your notebook, on the workbook, or on a piece of paper, or even sticky notes. Start ideating 3 different plans. Start with your bucket list, your milestones. Where are you going to be professionally and personally in each of these plans? Okay, what are you going to do? You going to get a new puppy? Are you going to get a new job? Are you going to stay where you are? Are you going to move up? What are you going to do? Okay, it's really important that you get these written down. Don't judge, just brainstorm. So I'm going to go ahead and put on a brain balance for another 10 minutes, and then I'll come back and I'll share with you kind of the next step. Your homework will be to finish this, and then I'll show you the next step to get you ready for tomorrow when we start talking about all the finances. Okay, so I'm going to put this on for another 10 minutes. 3 plans, go. Okay, about 1 more minute. I know it's not enough time to do all 3 plans, but at least get started. Okay. Hopefully that was enough time to get you started. Here's what I've done, just did in that 10 minutes. I did draw my little symbol for the tiny houses because that was a nice easy one for me. But you can see I don't have titles yet. I don't have a lot of bucket list or milestones on there yet, but I've started. If you started too, I encourage you to finish it later today or tomorrow morning before the next call. Because as we said earlier, and as we know with our students, we're much more likely to meet our dreams and have success if we participate. And the way we're participating is by designing our future lives. How cool is that? I mean, come on, that's super cool. So, if you want to share your experience in the chat, go for it. And I want to share with you, on top of finishing those 3 ideations, if you have time, you could try to do a 10-year plan. So a 10-year plan could be a mashup of the 3, or it could just be one of them in a more visual way. Here's some examples from Stanford students at their 10-year plans. If you feel like this is too much, that's totally fine. It's completely optional homework. I do really want you to finish 3 ideations if possible before tomorrow. Okay, so the second part of the 10-year plan, and if you want to do this instead on one of your 3-year plans or on, 5-year plans, one of your 3 5-year plans, you could do this with those. And that is making a dashboard and a thank you note. So let me tell you what that is. So the dashboard has 4 dials on it. Basically, resources, I like it, confidence, and coherence. So with resources, you want to ask yourself, do I have the objective resources like time, money, skill, contacts I need to pull off this plan? Okay. It's okay if you're low right now. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow with the money, right? And then you're going to work on the skills. So it's okay to find yourself low on some of these right now. Okay. I like it. Are you hot or cold or not worried at all about your plan? Your confidence. Are you feeling full of confidence or pretty empty about pulling this off? And then coherence. Does the plan make sense within itself? And is it consistent to who I am and what I think and what I do? Okay. Does it match? Does it align? Is it really where I want to go? Is your coherence. So try to rate yourself on those 4 things, either with your 10-year plan or your 5-year plans. Another thing that's really powerful that a lot of design thinkers like to do is to write yourself a thank you note. But you're going to write it to yourself. So you're going to thank the designer of your life. I live such a great life. I'm so glad that Sybil picked this life for me. Okay. You're going to choose 3 things that you hope went well, and you're going to write it as if you did those things. I absolutely love our tiny homes up in the forest near Breckenridge. My kids bring their families and we all have our own space and we meet at the campfire for meals, right? So thank you, Sybil, for planning that future and seeing it and living it. Okay, so write yourself a thank you note and think about, what does this life feel like? What are you thanking yourself because you're feeling that way? Okay. I went through a lot, like an hour and a half there, hour, 15 minutes. So you might have some questions. You can leave those in the chat or you can put those in the Facebook group. Okay. And I have a bonus for you. It is limiting beliefs bonus. And I just want to point out one thing before we start tomorrow. And this bonus, it's on the Padlet. And that is about limiting beliefs about money. So you might have some limiting beliefs about money. You might be thinking, this is a great dream, Sybil, but there's no way because you have XYZ limiting beliefs, like money is scarce. Money doesn't make you happy. Wanting more money is greedy and selfish. Okay, so you might want to go through this guidebook tonight as well, or sometime in the next week and a half. Because a lot of times we don't realize we have such limiting beliefs about money and finances, and those are really holding us back. Okay, so that's there on the Padlet for you. Remember to share your breakthrough. What's your biggest aha from today? Share it on Facebook or the Padlet. You're going to get an entry to win, because when you tell your story to the world, you get the reinforcement for the story you created. I will comment on every single post I see. Okay. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow in the same place, same time. If you have any questions, I'll stay on the call. Otherwise, finish up those ideations, and I look forward to talking money and numbers with you tomorrow as we prototype and test our plans.